And welcome to Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another Wednesday evening Ask Engineer. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that means it's...
Do you know where your engineer is at?
Do you know where your engineer My engineer is here. I'm the engineer. I'm Lady Ada, and we're here at the Adafruit factory. This is where we do all of our design, engineering, manufacturing, testing, QA, shipping, receiving. It all happens here in the Santa's workshop, except it's Lady Ada's workshop. And with me is Mr. Lady Ada on camera control.
Hello.
And we've got an exciting show for you tonight.
Yeah, we just had an epic show and tell. That was
Well,
awesome.
that show and tell, we had 30 people.
Yeah.
Tell you more about that later.
Okay, on tonight's show and tell, the code is Cronenberg. You'll see why. It's not what you want to see, but what you need to see. Okay, show and tell. People around the world showing and sharing their project. Mailbag.
Hi.
Hi. Your letters to us. Help wanted. It's the Adafruit job board. Time travel. Look back in the world of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers. We'll have a little bit of manufacturing from New York. Some Adafruit.io, Internet of Things, as they say in
With Nimbus,
business.
the friendly cloud entity.
That's right. 3D printing. Got a bunch of stuff. Raspberry Pi stuff, some new products. We'll answer your questions. We have a top secret tonight, and we'll give away something. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. All right. Well, let's get started.
Okay.
Yeah, first off, the code is Cronenberg. That's 10% off all the way up until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. I am so looking forward to 12:01 a.m. But leading up to that moment, you have 10% off. I've been using
Cronenberg did Videodrome
parts of
too, that
Wednesday.
you could enter the TV.
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the end of Wednesday because this has been a special Wednesday, but it has to end.
It's been quite a Wednesday.
But it has to end. Okay.
The time must move forward.
Yeah, it does.
The arrow of time.
Speaking of,
Yes.
Wednesdays we do Ask an Engineer, and we also do Show and Tell, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and Ask an Engineer is 8 p.m. We do have our free UPS stuff going on right now on checkout if you're in the US, $200 or more, and of course we have same day if you're in New York City. So,
What great delivery
Lady Ada.
options.
Yeah, Lady Ada.
Wow, we're just rolling right along.
Show and Tell. Let's
What is-
continue to make this Wednesday epic.
We're just rocking it out.
Yeah.
Okay, this was actually the biggest show and tell because we had a classroom of people. I'll talk about them last. Started off with Noah and Pedro Ruiz from Adafruit Southeast. They had the phone charger guts to show off, and we're showing off that video. It's got Cronenberg-esque phone charging technology. It's really cool. They teach some new techniques in 3D printing, like using squishy pink Ninja Flex and then airbrushing veins onto it. If that sounds like your bag, then stay tuned because you'll see more. Josh Snyder has been working on an RGB LED matrix project with an Arduino Mega. He wrote some games for it, like little Space Invaders and like a clock and some like cool effects. And he also made this totally adorable pocket watch with a 12 LED NeoPixel ring and an ESP8266. And he opens it up and it presses a button and it actually connects over Wi-Fi to get the NTP time, and then it displays on the little NeoPixel ring the time, and it fits right into his pocket watch enclosure, which is awesome.
That was fun.
Really cool pocket watch. Richard A has been working on a Watch Dogs themed LED goggle kit party. They're going to do a build party for a video game called Watch Dogs, and these cool goggles using our kit, any NeoPixels, trinket, the works. He also is working on a project for PAX, a sound effect plus accelerometer Iron Man gauntlet. So when you hold your hand like this, when you hold the hand like this as a power up, and then when you hold your hand like this, it shoots out lasers, and there's LED effects. It also makes the sound effect. So using the accelerometer for tilt and motion, you can make a reactive, it's funny. It's like, I remember 3 years ago, like, whoa, adding an LED to a costume is incredible. Now it's like, let's add sensors and technologies and like, more than just plain
we're
sound
starting
effects.
to see it happen
Yep.
at each Comic-Con. You're seeing more people build their own costumes and more, and then they're showing and sharing the costumes and how they've built it, and it's happening. It was one of the areas of people making so many things that electronics didn't get there because it's hard.
Yeah.
And now it's easy.
Yeah.
Easier.
I enjoy seeing that. I see the cosplayers start to do LED tutorials and stuff. I think it's cool. NeoPixel tutorials. Carter has a beautiful kind of half steampunk-ish, but also very Blade Runner-esque kanji clock. It's very, uses 8x8 red LEDs, but it looks a lot, like it has that orange glow of a Nixie tube and has these kanji symbols for the clock. So it's very like futuristic and beautiful, but also has this wood grain base. So check that out for making a custom clock. I think also runs an ESP 8266, so that does network timing, always has the right time. Mr. Chalky has a Wii nunchuck with a sharp mirror display. It's really beautiful, low power display that has a mirrory effect. They're called the Sharp display. They were using the original Pebble watch. And he made almost Snake. So it's not quite Snake, it's like Snack, because there's no tail.
Yeah.
But he's working on it. He's got the Wii nunchuck, so he's using that for control. Scott S. is working with us on porting MicroPython to the AtSamD 21 processor. And it's actually, we have it up on GitHub for Intrepid Adventures. If you want to burn the binary file in, can do digital I/O, analog input, and he showed off today PWM output. And he's talking with the MicroPython team to maybe have a standard API for PWM, because right now I think it isn't standardized. But if they, if they come up with a standard like they did with digital I/O and analog input, then every chip that supports MicroPython, your code will be able to run on all of them, which I think is one of the big goals of MicroPython. So.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see how he's doing with that. We'll be doing more with MicroPython, of course, and we are always doing a lot of tutorials with MicroPython. Next up, Richard Teal did a really cool tricorder project. He took a tricorder, like a prop, and that doesn't do anything, and he put a Raspberry Pi in it with a Pi TFT, and he wrote some Tinker code, tickle code. It has a PyCam, takes photos. It has a 10DOF, humidity sensor, temperature sensor, GPS. All these sensors basically uploads them to Adafruit I/O. So it's actually a true tricorder. He actually points at something, it takes a photo, measures all the ambient information, and then logs it to the shipboard computer.
We met him at Maker Faire DC when we
yeah.
were there, when you were at the White House. And what a neat, it's 50th anniversary Star Trek 2, so a lot of these projects are cool to see, because I think the goal of when you get into something like Star Trek is, at least for a lot of us, is you kind of want to make some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because you want to make a tricorder, you want to, and it works with the GPS. It's actually getting information from space.
Yeah, we made the communicator. Noah and Pedro made the communicator project a couple.
And we could
weeks
turn that
ago.
into a phone.
And it's a phone.
Yeah.
You actually open it up, you press a button, it will call a friend.
Yeah.
So I thought that was neat, because it's taking this fantasy.
That goes to space too.
Well, but it's a fantasy, but it's true. It's we have communicators.
Yeah.
We actually have tricorders. Okay, anyways, it's cool. Really lovely build. Steve from Volt Vision is in Guatemala, and he's doing workshops.
I think he said his name is Frenchie, and he does electronics.
Yeah.
That was his company.
Maybe Steve Frenchie?
Steve Frenchie, and he has an electronics workshop. And we got a chance to see a classroom of people and all of their projects. It was in Guatemala.
They did a guitar with NeoPixels and a drum kit and a speaker and an umbrella.
Yeah.
And it is so cool. They're using Adafruit tutorials, and they're just being really creative and doing fashion, and it's was it FIT Guatemala?
Yeah,
I think.
We'll retweet if they tweet, so everyone can check it out.
They're on Instagram, but it was 20 amazing students, and you can tell they're just having a great time.
No, it was neat, and I mentioned this in the beginning. It's bringing students together and then being able to show and share their work. It's hard to travel around the world, but we can use the internet. Excellent use of technology tonight. It was really neat.
Yeah.
That was highlight of the day.
Yeah.
That was good to see. So many
Very
people
blinky.
using, and they said we use your code, we use all
The
this stuff.
Circuit Playground and
Yeah,
Flora
that was
and
neat.
Arduino and Mega. It was
That was neat. Okay.
everything and everything.
All right. Well, all participants on the Show and Tell get an As Seen on Show and Tell sticker. It's part of our live series of shows. So we had Desk of Lady Ada this week. The last video we did in our series about Circuit Playground with Maker I/O was all about support. So it's a good time to check out the series. So we just put up a playlist. Thank you, Teddy and team. We had Maker to Market concept, research, evaluation, design, prototyping, funding, marketing, production, distribution, support. So we showed every part of the Adafruit.
This is everything.
Yeah, we had interviews with staff. We had historical photos of Adafruit just a few years ago in an apartment. And this was a lot of fun.
There were no
for us to
secrets.
do. Yeah, a lot of fun for us to do. And DigiKey and MakerIO were really happy with it. They're a launch partner for Circuit Playground. We're trying to get Circuit Playground out to as many people as possible, and they're helping us get the word out and more. And support was the video that we did on Saturday, Friday night. And that one was special because in the end, there's manufacturing, there's shipping, there's the planning, there's the design.
Software and firmware, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the team to support you.
And what was neat that we got to do, and we really like to do this, is we got a chance to show one of our latest company photos. It's hard to get everyone together. We're over 100 people now. We do our best like every few months to take a photo, but here you are on this floor. And these are just some of the people at Adafruit, and they're the ones that, they're all our bosses, and they're the ones that make this thing go. So thank you. We mention it every show. We're not venture funded, and we don't have loans or anything. When you buy electronics, you're helping to support a US manufacturing company, and all these folks have great healthcare and benefits and things that are really important to them, and we give good wages and all the stuff that everyone always talks about we're trying to do here in New York City. So that was some of our videos and more that we were able to do. So that was fun.
Yay!
Yeah, so we're going to try to do more. Okay, next up, Tony D's desk. Tony has the best MicroPython videos and guides on the internet right now. I'm calling it, I'm saying it. So he did MicroPython basics with the ESP8266 with the web REPL, and then loading modules. What is, Lady Ada, loading modules? Why is that interesting?
Oh, so what's interesting about MicroPython is it's interpreted. So that's very powerful because it means you just plug it in and you open up the serial port and you just start typing in code and it runs as you type it. It isn't like most Arduino and C programming where you compile it and then upload, you write the entire code and then you upload it all at once. So what's nice about Python is you get to be a lot more experimental. You get to play around and you write the program as you go. And that's very powerful, but it has the trade-off that the libraries that you normally use, like a NeoPixel library or like a sound effects library, you have to tell MicroPython how to get that, and you have to include it somehow. And you can either compile it into your code, or you put it on an SD card and you plug it into the board. There's a couple different techniques. So Tony just basically talked about how you can manually or frozen style add multiple libraries to extend your support of your MicroPython board.
Yeah. So check this out. There's a playlist, there's guides, and more. Next up, Pseudorandom. We just launched the latest one. It was last night. And here is a clip of just 1 minute of Pseudorandom, the latest one with Colin and Todd Bailey this week.
So that loop's caught now. It's not perfect. I kind of messed it up. But the simplest thing, the thing that 90% of voice supporting users do when they first get it is
and they should.
Yeah.
There's good reason for that.
And actually, it's maybe one of my favorite features to do.
No reason to look down at that.
I'm not looking down at it. I'm like, it does one thing and it sounds pretty cool when it does it, right? Maybe it doesn't need clock jitter. Maybe that was all me, right? So it's basically
you put an effect off the end of that, and please.
Watch all that and more on our various video channels, on YouTube, on Facebook.
Todd's an amazing engineer, so learn from him, because what I love about this video is he actually explains what didn't work out, and that's where you learn the most.
Yeah, bootloader. That's big advice.
It's true.
All right, Mailbag. This is back at the Mailbag. Did I pull in a Mailbag one? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. It was, I think it's just out of order.
Hi.
Yeah, all right. Just wanted to thank you for all the awesome stuff you do. This summer, I started with Arduino with my son, and now I'm addicted with all the forums, Adafruit boards, and your weekly shows. I've always liked electronics, but with all the sample files, tutorials, inspirational shows, and hangouts, and Wearable, you have made it possible for me to create some fun and sparkling stuff at home. Thanks for this year. I look forward to new shows, gadgets, and tutorials next year. Yay. All right. We run along Adafruit job board, adafruit.com/jobs. We have think one of the only maker boards online that you can post a job, or if you're a company, look for makers who want to work at a cool company. This one is pro bono US-based mechanical design. This mechanical engineer with extensive experience is willing to work pro bono for innovative entrepreneurial open source mechanical and Kickstarter projects. That's cool. So the clients include Maxwell Motorbikes, Ultralife Batteries, Dually Corp, Rancid Robotics, Ambry, EchoTally, Codatron, and it's John and Thingiverse has some of John's stuff.
Cool.
So check it out. Pro bono, you can't go wrong with that. Price is right, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe it works it out. But
Yeah.
what I think is nice is, it's like for coders, they're like, send this is my GitHub, and for mechanical engineers, they're like, here's my Thingiverse.
Yeah,
It's kinda
download it
neat.
and print it out. See what you think.
Yeah.
See if those gears go. Okay. Next up, time travel. Time travel, I got something a little different this week.
Really?
Yeah, a little different, because like occasionally we read the news. So sad news, but also a time to celebrate someone's achievement. So I read this in New York Times Online. This was John Ellensby, visionary who helped create the early laptop. He just passed away, and British-born engineer who played a critical role in creating the laptop. Died on August 17th, San Francisco, 75. His son confirmed death. He was a pioneer who's the stuff that a lot of people remember from when like computers really first started getting into like the world. This was Grid Systems. That was a company in Mountain View. And one of the cool things about it was it had this like orange screen.
It's
and
beautiful.
it was called the Compass. And here's a little bit more about it. He sold the company to Tandy in March of 1988. He
Wow.
started Agilis, the maker of handheld tablets, with his son, and GeoVector, which pioneered navigation and augmented reality applications. He was talking about, I guess they quoted an article, he had met with the White House, and they said they were looking to have a computer that fit in a standard briefcase. And he's like, really, that briefcase? Like, this is when computers were huge.
Yeah.
And he's like, that briefcase, computer in a briefcase sounded crazy. And so here's a photo of it. It was just so ahead of its time. And I was thinking, like, I wonder if you ever see these on eBay. Yeah, you do once in a while.
It looks just like a PowerBook 100, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
Or
just
not the PowerBook.
It was
the, What's it called? The Apple laptop, the first one.
The PowerBook?
No, like the first the Apple Portable. Remember the Portable?
Yeah.
And they like had a little screen this big.
Yeah, and there was other ones too where it's like, I can't believe that's like they had handles like
Yeah.
computers. So I went on eBay and there is one. It's for $14,000. This one apparently was in the space shuttle, and it's like, hi crew, and yeah, like, and you pop
Oh my God, these are cool.
and you pop in a chip.
Wow.
Yeah,
Grid-OS.
yeah. So this
And it's funny.
is
Those are
neat.
it's radiation hardened, is it? It's hard to tell.
Probably.
It's a ceramic.
'Cause
Oh
it
no,
wants
sorry,
to-
it's ceramic
to
EEPROM.
space. So what an amazing career and life and things, and part of the story about computers that maybe not everyone knows. So check it out. So that's a little bit of time travel.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, can I look at that display again? Because that display is so neat. Oh wow, I love it.
If you're in space, that's what you want to see.
I want to see that in space. And it's like, oh hey, you're traveling.
Yeah. You don't want like little push pins and Zagat references for restaurants and
Pop-ups.
pop-ups.
Like,
You want that. Okay.
yes.
All right. So that's time
Beautiful.
travel.
Great resolution too.
I was going to show a video that we did a few years ago, which was our F is for frequency. In 2004, we launched it, but I'm not because we're running a little short on time.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep moving. However, I'm just going to show the first few seconds. So if you're into kid shows about electronics, Adafruit launched F is for frequency way back just a couple of years ago. And I will somehow move this over here.
Good work.
And this is the first few seconds. You'll have to see more. Okay,
But wait, why is that?
because
Okay.
we got to keep moving.
All right.
So next up, open source hardware. We have some open source hardware stuff. We're part of the Open Source Hardware Association. We're pushing for October, which is Open Source Hardware Month, to make sure all of our fritzing and files and everything is up. Lady, what fritzing stuff did you do this week?
All the feathers got done. We got all these LED LCDs, we've got microphones, we've got sensors. We're pretty much done with every single Adafruit original product is in the Fritzing library now, including all the variations and colors. So you want it, we fritzed it. It was an amazing job, thanks to Phil B. and Andy, who helped as well, and of course, Fritzing for making such great software.
Yeah, okay. Lydia, we have some tutorials. I think another one snuck in right before we started the show, but what are the tutorials this week?
Okay, so the radio for the moon was last week. Okay, so we had the MicroPython basics, the loading modules we just talked about. That's the tutorial Tony did about adding MicroPython pre-compiled library support. We also had the J's for Joule companion guide, which has as the script if you want to just read through it, if you want to make sure that you caught everything, and also some more references and some lovely screenshots. That's by Colin. Mike Borella did a really cool circuit playground kaleidoscope. At first I was like, well, what is this? But it actually works really well. It uses the accelerometer tilt to change the color. So as you twist the kaleidoscope, it actually changes the designs. And by putting mylar or tinfoil on the inside of it's like a Pringles can, but you can use maybe a long hand paper roll as well. You can make this kind of LED kaleidoscope. And then the flush phone charger, which is our gruesome Cronenberg-esque 3D printed project.
Yeah, we'll talk about that soon.
And Phil Moyer did a mini guide on getting started with MicroPython on the YPi, which we carry.
Yeah, okay. So next up, we have, speaking of open source and learning more, we have our weekly Made in New York series that we've been doing lately, which is a lot of fun. So our manufacturing team is posting up some of the things that they do this week. It's stencil paste. Yep.
Delish.
That's it. Okay. Next up, Internet of Things. So we got this service, Adafruit.io. It's in beta. Got like tens of thousands of people using it now. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
We have some stuff that we do with it. You get like maps and dials, and you can control stuff over the internet. You can do data logging. We also like to do updates, and we have a blog, adafruit.io/blog, and you can see some of the things we do. This is hardware testing with Jenkins and Tap. What is Jenkins?
I actually don't know that much about Jenkins, but I know what the project is. Jenkins, I think, is the software core that actually manages the test output from Travis, which is the test suite software. All these tools are named after like people or like things like chefs and puppets and Jenkins and Travises and yeah, I can't quite keep them apart. But this is a project that Todd's working on, which is a really important project where, we have Adafruit.io, which is a software project, but interfaces with hardware. But when the software changes, it might change how the hardware or firmware reacts. And so he's actually building a hardware test jig where every time he makes a change to the libraries, like the firmware code on the Arduino libraries or the Adafruit.io backend or the interface or something, it will compile it and reburn the Arduinos or feathers and then try to connect to Adafruit.io and make sure that it can successfully connect. So it's like a test suite, but it uses actual hardware. So there's a Raspberry Pi that runs Jenkins and has the the Arduino Zero plugged in and the Maker 1000 and the Feather Wink and the ESP8266. And it farms out the project of testing the hardware and software together. So it basically saves us from like, hey, we committed some code, like pull out this thing, open up Arduino. What was the example code? Like you have to, it takes you an hour just to get going. This does it automatically.
Okay.
Thanks, Jenkins.
All right, so that's our latest update and more. So check that out. Okay, next up, 3D printing. I got a story. I got a few stuff for 3D printing this week. No, it's like we have this segment. That's why I didn't want to show the F is for frequency because people could go and watch that at any time.
That's
but
true.
This is all new stuff. So we have a friend, Real Sexy Cyborg. She just did a cool project. This is, she called it a poor woman's like Google Glass. And so she released the files up on Thingiverse. You can check it out. And one of the things I liked about this 3D project is why I'm featuring it. One, if you see her on Twitter, retweet her stuff and tell her she's doing a great job on her work because she puts stuff on Thingiverse and more. So what she's trying to do is get young girls into drone racing, so they can make one of these and they can have their own first-person video.
Oh,
That's what it is.
That's cool.
That's right. So he said, as I mentioned on Thingiverse, a few local ladies and I have been trying to get together a first-person drone racing club. While we've sort of gotten micro drones taken care of, now it's time for this mount. And the goal is for the maker culture for local girls to get this in like the $50 range. So she has access to these little screens and more. And so what I thought was
she's
neat,
in Shenzhen, so
yeah.
that's awesome.
So she put this together and she documents all the parts of the project on Imager. This is the 3D printer that she's the center one, which is cool. And then you can see the step-by-step process.
Great pictures.
Yeah, so this is neat, and I want to see more people share their build photos, and you can see how it works.
Yeah, it's a little security TV. She just crammed that in there. That's a good idea.
And she's in Shenzhen, so she has access to a lot of this stuff, and then you can see the drones and all that. So check it out and more. All right, so that's part of our 3D printing start. That's one.
Part one.
That's part one, because we usually have Noah and Pedro. And part two is an explanation of what I'm going to show. So there was this movie a long time ago called Existence. You got to watch it. If you haven't seen it, everyone, go watch it. You have to. And you'll see one of these in the movie. And you're like, what's that? Well, this was a movie well before its time. It was like Inception before Inception came out. It was virtual reality when maybe Lawnmower Man was kind of like a movie. And so it's Cronenberg. If you're like Cronenberg, that's why the code is Cronenberg. It's kind of neat. This is like an organic thing that plugs into you and you like go into this virtual reality space. There's a, let me just show a couple minutes of a trailer that maybe YouTube's not gonna like that I'm doing this. But I think we can do this because we're talking about it. This is newsworthy. I'm describing it. It's just a short amount. This is what I'm telling myself.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. So this is what the movie is kind of like.
There's an intimacy involved in playing existence that is beyond description.
Yeah. I think maybe I took the sound off of it. Anyways, this is it, and it's like there's phones before, so yeah. And she's the game designer, and you got to get into the game, and now you're in this other reality, and they're like,
so great.
Watch out. So that's where some of the inspiration came from what I'm about to show you. Another part of the inspiration came from this Onion article where when Tim Cook took over Apple, they're like, he just released this thing and it has hair and it coughs and it like sneezes on you. And
it's it's got fluids coming out of the SD drive.
Yeah, and you have to like shave the computer. So it was just like funny Onion articles because everyone was like, oh, he's going to ruin Apple. And like they said, this is a laptop. So that was part of the inspiration for this
new
project.
Organic design.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on Boing Boing, this blog, I saw this this artist, and there's this phone charger that it breathes and like it moves as you like charge the phone.
Awesome.
It's really, look at it, it's like gross. And then there's this computer accessory that's inside, and it looks like a tumor, and it's going as like you put files on it.
Like when your hard drive
it's just like gross.
Okay.
And then I had sent this other video to some folks at Adafruit, and I said, oh, these are like biohacker organ little bits.
Okay, I have to live with this guy.
Yeah, it's fine. And so he's going to be talking about
I can add a kidney module.
So this is like organ little bits.
And if I add a liver module,
Yeah, liver module.
Yeah.
I start actuating the organism to move. Now it's looking for the optimal temperature, which is 37 degrees. If I add another limb, Oscar will recognize it and beneficiate from new possibilities.
Okay. So
I hope they used Adafruit servos in that project.
So that's where this happened. And the thing about this is, we have our weekly meetings with the team. I'm like, here's a bad idea, and I send them all this stuff. And Noah and Pedro are like, we're going to do it. So here it is. We did it.
Yay.
We did it. Here it is.
It's creepy, it looks gross, and it's pretty weird. In this project, we'll show you how we 3D printed these grotesque looking props and added finishing techniques to make them look like something from a horror film. This project was inspired by a flesh-sucking phone charger from Japan. But instead of using traditional sculpting techniques and materials, we 3D printed them using NinjaFlex filament. Inside these parts are a USB battery pack and charging cable, so this actually charges your phone without any of the actual sucking. It flexes without any issue, and it's surprisingly durable. We 3D printed the parts in flesh tone colored NinjaFlex with a 0% infill. For slice settings and a full tutorial on this project, be sure to check out our learning guide linked below. We sculpted the parts in Fusion 360 using T-splines with the freeform modeling tools. We duplicated one section using the pattern feature, which made it really easy to adjust the length of the part to match the length of our charging cable. We then brought the object into Maya, where we added nonlinear deformers to give the geometry a twist. This makes it look more organic by adding more curvature. Using Simplify 3D, we imported the model and flattened the bottom by lowering it below the grid. This helps provide better bed adhesion and lets us 3D print without any support material. A 0% infill will make the part hollow and essentially speeds up the print time. E6000 adhesive will permanently bond these pieces together while maintaining the material's flexibility. Just make sure to give them several hours to fully cure. This water-based acrylic paint holds onto NinjaFlex really well, so there's no sanding or primer coats necessary. A mix of red and black gives us that bloody tone that works well for this project. This was our first time airbrushing, so we made sure to practice on some paper and failed prints to get a feel for it. We're really just adding shades of pigment to the creases and adding details like thin veins. With a couple of light coats, you can really add some depth to the part and give it that finished look. It looks so much more dramatic when compared to one without any airbrushing. We found shading along the bevels and leaving spots uncolored give it this nice highlight. And if you accidentally spray on too much, you can use a damp paper towel to lightly wipe away any excess paint. Once you have all of the layers coated, we can move on to adding the veins. Spraying at close distances will give you thin lines. Again, we suggest practice spraying on a failed print or prototype to get a feel for it. Once we were happy with the look, we then threaded our charging cable through the part. The USB port has a snug fit, so it holds on pretty nicely. We really like how this actually has a useful application besides just looking gross. It also acts as strain relief for the cable. The material is virtually indestructible, which is why we really like using NinjaFlex, especially for mobile phone cases. Well, that's it for this one. If you guys have any suggestions for future projects, just let us know. And for more projects from Adafruit, be sure to subscribe.
Okay, so we did it there.
Oregon 3D printing.
Yeah, so in case you're wondering why the code was Kronberg, there it is.
Well, it's funny because you always hear like stories like, you know, like
Yeah.
doctors 3D printing an ear, but now you can 3D print your own intestines.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, don't forget, on Pedro 3D Hangouts on Thursday, you'll see their work and more. And we have one last thing, is a time lapse. Okay, and before we get on new products, don't forget the code is Kronberg. I don't need to explain it now.
You did a very good job of explaining
did
it.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, ready, lady?
Yeah, we got some.
It's
we
time
got
for
some
new products.
cooking
New products.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
New.
Okay. New.
Okay, so we have other products, but these are, we almost made these the star of the show.
These are
besides Lady
super
Ada.
cool.
So there's a bunch of different colors of these.
Okay.
And my favorite color, of course, black. But this is silicone wire.
This is silicone coated 30 gauge wire.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite wire. And it comes in these adorable little spools. It's 50 feet per, but it's got like, kind of a standard spool size, but they're little thimble-y spools of wire. And what's really nice about them is, one, they're incredibly flexible. And they're much more flexible than PVC coated wire, which tends to like crack a little bit. So these are very flexible and dynamic. And when you solder them, they solder very well. The silicone coating doesn't shrink away. And that's really useful because like you can cut the exact right length of wire. You don't have to like, add 2 or 3 millimeters. And then if you cut and strip it, you have to keep cutting and stripping it to get a short amount of exposed wire. Because when you solder it, it doesn't burn, melt. You can hold this against a soldering iron and it won't damage the coating. So especially when you're soldering wearables or small projects where you have to get in there and like there's a wire harness and you don't want to worry about damaging it, these wires are amazing. And so I love them, and they come in a bunch of different colors. We have them.
What projects would you use it on?
What?
Give examples.
The best projects that we've used them on are like Noah and Pedro's projects where they cram a lot of small electronics into a 3D print. So there's like a lot of, they have to thread the wire around maybe, or wearable projects where like the sparkle skirt used it. Our second version of the sparkle skirt used it because it was flexible enough that you could sew it onto the fabric and it didn't bind the fabric a lot. It was nice and flexible. And what else is it good for? I use it a lot for prototyping. I use it because it's 30 gauge, it's very thin. It's great for when you have a PCB and you have to do like a blue wire hack. I find this is a lot nicer to use than Kynar coated wire, that blue wire, because it's more flexible, it's not stiff, and it won't crack off as easily. It'll flex at the joint. So this is my go-to wire.
Okay. Yeah, it's everywhere around.
And we already carried it in 2-foot lengths or 10-foot lengths or something.
Okay.
6 foot, but people really wanted more, so now we have a big spool.
Is that maker paste?
It's time for maker paste.
We've grown up makers and we made the
No,
paste.
this is the little. Can you quickly just show the video because it's exactly the same stuff.
So
or no.
This tube has this stuff in it.
This is the same stuff, but let's say you don't want to have a gigantic Tupperware full of it. You just want a little bit.
You just want a little tube of it.
This paste is great for when you're doing surface mount soldering, and you want to like put the paste down on all the pads, and then you can heat it with your soldering iron or with a hot air gun, especially if you're dealing with BGA components, QFNs, or MLFs, any chips where the pads are underneath. It's very hard to get to. Sometimes if they come out on the edge, you can solder on the edge, but if they don't, they're underneath. And some of the newest sensors, the pads are only on the bottom. Even the newest modules, like cellular modules, the pads are only on the bottom. So you put down paste, you put the module on top, and then you heat the whole thing with hot air, or maybe a skillet, or a toaster oven. So this is a small amount, and it's formulated, so you don't have to refrigerate it really. Works without.
Nice.
You cut the tip off, and it has a little dispenser. You don't need a syringe. So it saves you a lot of money and effort. You just have this, and you're pretty much ready to go. Good for beginning surface mount. I have one of these at home. I don't do a lot of surface mount at home, so when I need it, I pull it out, squeeze a little paste down, and then it works perfectly. It's from Amtech, which is the paste that we've used for years. The Amtech LF40. It's similar to the LF4300. It's a great paste.
Okay.
Lead-free.
All right. Next up, we have an update to a pack, a kit, and more.
Yeah, this is the Pi 3 starter kit without the Pi 3. We had updated the other kit for the Pi 3, but then we actually kind of forgot to do this one. But whatever, no, not a problem. We just did it today. So if you already have a Pi 3, this is similar to our other starter kits without Pi, except of course it doesn't include the Wi-Fi module. So it's a little less expensive as well. You don't need the Wi-Fi module because the Pi 3 has one built in.
Okay.
Yay.
Yep. Next up, joystick.
This is it's called like a PSP joystick, but I'm not exactly sure which PSP it was used in. Maybe like the PSP 1000V. It's a style. It's a very low-cost little thumbstick. It has through-hole pads, which I kind of dig. And it's just a little simple XY thumbstick. The other ones we have little cables. This one is the only one that mounts directly onto a PCB, which means that if you have a breakout board, you can use it very easily and very securely in a breadboard.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're probably wondering,
wow,
what would you ever do with something like this?
You could get the joystick breakout that we made, little simple breakout, and solder it all together, and then you can put it on a breadboard. I can show it off. Also, I have that demo here. So this little thumbstick, it's self-centering, and it's analog, so it's 2 potentiometers, and as you move it around, it'll self-center, but it's just kind of fun, very easy, very intuitive. A lot of people understand that this is a joystick without needing the gigantic, clicker or anything. So I kind of like this. I think when we do projects that do arcadey or video gamey type stuff, we'll probably use this little joystick, especially the breakout board. I made it, with 2 strips of header, so it's very secure.
Okay.
Simple, but effective.
And that was the star of the show tonight. Besides, do you even know the silicone wire was a close?
I know, but this is a custom one, but cute little joystick.
Right. And that, Lady Ada, was, you guessed it, new products.
Dun, da, da,
okay, we're gonna do a quick. It's not out yet. It's Raspberry Pi related. So therefore, well, first a little detour. It's Kronberg. The reason why is because of this thing. We did it. Gross. Okay. So. Raspberry Pi, we are playing around with, this might be the bonnet logo. I like this a lot. We'll see if this is okay. I'm gonna check with the Pi team. But
it looks like a mutated alien with an adorable little bonnet on it. Or raspberry.
In an alien civilization where everyone looks like that, we would be the ones who look like aliens, Lady Ada.
I know, it's just funny. I do like the bow is from the raspberry leaves.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
What the heck is a bonnet, Lady Ada? What the heck is a bonnet anyways?
A bonnet is a little breakout board that goes on top of a Pi Zero. And we are designing a couple because we've noticed that there's a couple of Pi hats that we never got to, but that would probably be better if they were smaller and were a bonnet, basically a half size. They're the same size as a Pi Zero, but they work on a Pi A Plus or a B Plus. They're just compact. So for example, this is like a LoRa radio bonnet. So you can add LoRa radio. So maybe you could do a LoRaWAN internet gateway. And we also added a real-time clock, so you can use little radio nodes. Maybe the Raspberry Pi isn't low power, but you could, if you can power it from 5 volts from a wall wart or something, you could have a node, a distributed sensor node network. So that could be kind of neat. This is the Charlie Plex chipset that we like, the ISL31FL 3731.
It's a bonnet bonanza.
Bonnet bonanza, and it has 8x16 LEDs. And what I like about this driver chip is it can do LED PWMing per LED, so it can do cool effects. And you know what actually reminded me of is we went to that pinball place, and the pinball displays are like 16 by 32, and they use it's only red, but they use the PWMing individual LEDs to have a beautiful effect. Yeah,
there's a pinball experience on 3rd and like 28th or 29th in New York City. And for like an hour, you can just play pinball for like $12 or something.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, we played. The best graphics.
Kiss.
The best graphics was the Kiss one.
They had this tongue, and it was like rendered beautifully on these dots.
Yeah, but I think the one that I had the most fun with was Star Trek Next Generation.
The Star Trek Next Generation is lovely. They had the little like rotating.
Yeah, they had Game of Thrones, but I didn't care for it as much.
I didn't get to play that one.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made such modern pinball games.
It was just a little bit too.
They had like a Walking Dead one.
Yeah, pinball made sense with Star Trek Next Generation. For some reason in my mind, it didn't make sense with Game of Thrones. I don't know why. I was like, it seems weird that I'm playing Game of Thrones.
I have a question. Do you know if you have time, do you know if Star Trek Next Generation was licensed for gambling machines too? Because some TV shows like Wheel of Fortune was.
I'm not sure. I think Paramount probably tries to do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But someone probably knows in the chat. And there's probably, we don't go to Vegas.
We don't go to Vegas enough.
We could probably find out.
Because I'm curious if, some shows...
There was some type of Star Trek licensing for slot machines.
Well, the pinball machine was cool. Anyway, so that reminded me, we went afterwards, but it reminded me of that because they did this beautiful display using only red pixels. And then this is a speaker bonnet. So this has 2 I2S amplifiers, one left, one right, because this chip only does mono, but you can just have one for each channel. And then you can connect 3-watt speakers directly output, and it has, you get basically a little audio effects board. You can tell we have a lot of audio effects projects, starting from the Wave Shield to the MP3 Shield, Music Maker, and the SFX board, because I really, a lot of people like it to do audio projects. And then finally, I started putting together the little OLED with a mini joystick and 2 buttons. So this will have a 128 by 64 joystick. So maybe little games or little information printed out. I'm not sure exactly what, but this is a little OLED display. So that's the first 4 I'm working on.
Okay. All right, and that was.
It's not out.
It's not out yet, and it was also
Pi News.
It was also Pi News. Back to the Adafruit Vault for you. Bonnets.
Go back in.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do questions. We'll speed round it. We'll stay a couple minutes extra because it's always an adventure streaming live online. Okay. So load up your questions. What is the current that's possible for the wires? Someone asked.
The wires are 30 gauge stranded. So the current, we say 800 milliamps, but it absolutely, positively, 100% depends on the length of the wire and the voltages that you're using, what you can handle as the voltage drop. So, the silicone sheathing itself can handle 300 degrees, but that doesn't necessarily mean you want to get that temperature up there. So there's tons of online wire calculators where you tell it voltage and current and, is AC or DC, and you tell it the kind of wire, and if it's stranded or solid core, it will tell you, it might even do skin effect stuff and tell you what is your voltage drop, and then you determine whether that's, and temperature rise, you determine whether that's acceptable.
Okay. Does the NeoPixel in a strip know its number, or does it just listen to some data and then repeat everything after that?
That's a good question. The way NeoPixels work is they're shift registers, and it's kind of like a bucket brigade. I didn't think I was going to use the phrase bucket brigade today.
No, I remember this morning I said, you're just going to keep saying bucket brigade.
Bucket brigade.
Yeah,
so, it's
all that before the show started.
You pick up a bucket, you pass it to the next person. So that's what's going on with the NeoPixel. When you talk to the first NeoPixel, you're actually sending it the data for the entire strip. And what it does is it just takes the last data and passes the rest of it on. And then the next one gets n-1, and then n-2, n-3. That's why you have to tell the strip how many pixels there are, so it will send the right number and make sure that last pixel it ironically gets the first data that you send. So it shifts the data down. That's how it works.
Okay. Let's see. Next up, what's a good pick and place machine for starting SMT production? I would say look on our Maker Business section, because we've posted up a few of the smaller ones. It really depends.
There's the NeoDens. People seem to like them. I haven't heard a lot lately.
Yeah.
There's a couple Kickstarters. I don't know if they worked out.
And then if you Google or look on our site, there's places where you can send for assembly. Some services do that now.
Yeah.
And there's also just go if you have access to an Apex event, an expo where it is in the country.
Yeah.
That is one of the places you can see all these smaller machines and larger machines.
I will say that buying a used machine is a big gamble, because I know companies that purchased used ones. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, because these machines, the used market, you have to re-register the machine, and a lot of machines that are sold are these old quads, and you can't get repair parts, you can't get new feeders. Yeah, they do need upkeep, they need repair parts, they need maintenance. The used machines are very, very cheap because they don't have a lot of value, but that's why they're so cheap.
All right, one bit of fact, Alexander Graham Bell created his phono-autograph in 1874 using an ear of a dead man. That's kind of Cronenberg right there. I agree.
Okay.
Also, what's the relationship between a real-time operating system and a compiled Arduino sketch?
It's a good question. The Arduino sketches that you would write for an Uno or a Mega, there's no real-time operating system. Instead, when you say turn the pin LED on or the LED connected to the pin off, it happens as that code occurs. What a real-time operating system does is it has a very simple scheduler that happens in the background that keeps things going. It's like a very, very, very small operating system. And you can have an operating system for something like an Uno, or better yet, like a SAMD. But the Arduino, I don't think there's any Arduinos that have any real-time operating systems that they use. They all kind of run in real time. I think only the Wicked module that we have has a RTOS to handle the Wi-Fi. The ESP8266 actually has a real-time operating system, we think. There's not a lot of information about the internals, but the Wi-Fi stuff is happening in the background, and there's probably some sort of real-time operating system that's occurring that's making sure that it handles the Wi-Fi interrupts. There's just so much going on that it wants to make sure your code runs and the Wi-Fi handling code runs, and then maybe some power management code runs. So real-time operating systems, usually bigger processors, more complicated, you're doing a lot of stuff.
Okay. Any update for the plans for a paid tier of Adafruit.io? Sort of, kind of. So we still haven't decided what the tiers are, and we've been approached by a couple companies who might want to have like an enterprise edition. So we're going to figure it out. We'll probably come up with some options as we get closer to that and put it out there and see what people think. If you know of something out there that has tiered usage for something like Adafruit.io, let us know, because we'd like to make sure like we're in step with what the expectations are. Or if everything's terrible, that's fine too. We'll do something better. I think that's kind of where it's at.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. Next up. Next chat room, there's a bunch of chat rooms. How to target the M0 Feather in Atmel Studio?
We do have a guide on targeting the zero. I've not tried the M0, but you know, it's just, you know, at SAMD21. So if you want to write bare code, just use ASF, you know, the Atmel Studio framework, and then just select at SAMD G18, and you can upload code directly. The only thing is that to upload it, once you compile a code, you'll have to run BOSAC. You'll have to figure out how to tell it to use BOSAC, which is the bootloader manager, to take your bin file and upload it to the Feather.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I haven't done the Feather. I only did the zero.
Can a standalone Uno connected to Blueford EasyLink send data to the Arduino 101?
No, because the Arduino 101 only does Bluetooth Classic, and only does Bluetooth Classic client mode, peripheral mode. So no, you cannot. You can only connect to the Arduino 101. I actually used it, but from it's Bluetooth, Bluetooth Low Energy. You will be able to use it with a tablet or a computer, Mac computers, Linux computer with Blues, or Windows 7 with Noble, or Windows 8 and 10 have native Bluetooth LE support. But Bluetooth Classic and Bluetooth LE are completely different. And I will be answering this question for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bluetooth Consortium.
What would be a quick fix for an RC car if I lost a remote Adafruit radio Featherwing?
Ooh, if you don't have the, I don't know, because some of the remotes for RC cars are 100 megahertz actually. They're not, or even less. So yeah, it's tough. If you have the remote and you have like an RTL SDR dongle, you can listen to it and figure out what it is. But I remember reading RC cars don't always use 433.
Yeah. All right. Can you use a 433 megahertz Feather in the US with a ham license?
Yes, it's within the amateur band. So just make sure that you're obeying that band plan for your location, and of course the amateur rules for, wherever you are in the US. You can't use some frequencies in some locations. You can't use encryption. There's limits to how often you have to transmit your ID, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But that is, you can tune it to the right frequency. Just use the frequency that makes the most sense for where you are.
Okay. I've seen people store soldering irons with a big glob of solder, and there's reasons behind that. Is that necessary, or is a thin layer enough?
I do that, and I'm trying to remember. I think it's mostly to prevent oxidation. I don't know. It's kind of something that was taught to me, and I never formally looked up to see if it's true. But yeah, I store it with some solder on the end. I think it also helps. As if you leave it on by accident, it will keep you from burning out the tip a little bit. So that's probably why people do it. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's an interesting engineer's folklore. But yeah, I think it's just protecting the coating of the tip.
Yeah. All right, and that is it for questions, lady. Good work.
Yay!
You did it. Zoom. Okay. We are going to do a trivia question.
Ooh.
But first, don't forget, you can all win on checkout. Bing, bing, bing. What are the rules this week?
Rules are, if you've won something before, you can't win again. Only one winner per my lifetime. And the first person to answer the quiz question presented by Mr. Ladiata wins.
Yeah. So what do you want to give away that's a product? Because I have to do it with a product.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be a little different because we have these. We said we'd give away these Radio Shack shirts, which are pretty rare because they're black, and we have 3 different sizes. So when I asked a question, only answer it if you want the size that I'm currently doing. So I'm gonna do 3 giveaways. So I'll make this real easy.
Okay, sorry.
I'll make this.
You get a
here.
roll
So
of black?
You get a roll of black stranded wire.
Great stuff.
Yeah, and so I'll inform our team of what to expect.
Okay.
So the first one that we're going to do is for a large. This is a large, and you and I, there's just one type. It's not men's or women's. It's one type. So I fit in a small. This is a large, and then we have a medium, and then we have a extra large.
This is like a Hanes large, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So here's the first, and you'll get the black
Wire.
and a large Radio Shack shirt. Are you ready?
Can you handle it?
Yeah. Okay. Grid Compass trivia. What year was the Grid Compass released? That is that cool laptop that we showed.
What year was this released?
What year was it released? And I'm gonna just do the best I can. Let's see. What year was it released? Let's see who gets that. All right, Hamburglar X, congratulations, 1982. So Hamburglar X, email support@adafruit.com. Tell them that you won. You got the wire. And it's
3164.
Yeah, and you also got the large black Radio Shack shirt. And the team will put this together before they ship out the package. But email support@adafruit.com. Okay, next up. Next one is, let's put a little piece of paper here. This is for Hamburglar X.
Hamburglar X, okay.
Hamburglar
I hope his name is Xavier Hamburglar.
Sounds legit to me. Okay. The next one is for a extra large Radio Shack black shirt, and also,
the black wire.
The black wire again. Okay. Grid Compass trivia, part 2. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What was the introductory price of the Grid Compass? What was it? How much was it? What's the introductory price? It's not 42. What was the introductory price of the Grid Compass? And this is for an extra large Radio Shack shirt. It's not 42. Everybody loves saying 42. It's like their favorite thing.
Douglas Adams had a big impact on the world.
Yep.
Okay, price of.
Yep. What was the introductory price? Not 1 million. Nope, not $45. I'm looking for this number here, lady, if you can see it. See
Somebody said it.
Really? Where?
Yeah.
Where did you see it? This one?
No,
or this
the other one. The other one.
Where? Here? Up here?
Yeah, here.
This is the first sentence
Shepherd.
of it? No.
Robert Lee.
Hey,
Sorry, you're
Robert Lee, you got it. $8,150 was the introductory price. Okay, Robert Lee, email support@adafruit.com. You get the extra large shirt and the wire. Robert Lee. Okay. Next up,
Last but not least.
one. This is the medium Radio Shack shirt in black, and you guessed it, the black wire. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
More grid.
Keep the Wikipedia page open.
Yeah. More Grid Compass trivia. Who is the person we talked about on our show who just passed away, who was one of the people that helped develop it? Who was it? Who was it? And we will see who gets the right answer. So in case you're wondering, Lady Ada.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Well,
That's okay.
I can't have the Wikipedia open.
You
so.
can't know that. It's this
Oh,
person
right.
here.
Right. It's that person.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
person that
We talked about this on the show.
recently is
Yeah, he was
deceased.
one of the people who helped develop it. And the answer is... It's not Bodie McBoatface. Okay, congratulations, Brian Blash. That's the person who just passed away. We just had him, we spotlighted him on the show, and you got it. Congrats.
Brian
Balush.
Balush.
And yeah, the person's name that just recently passed away was John Ellenby, visionary who helped create the early laptop. Just passed away at 75. So
Wow.
so you get the medium Radio Shack shirt black and the wires. So
This was the most epic giveaway.
Yeah.
I know you promised it and you delivered it.
I keep every promise.
You keep your promises.
Yeah, if I promise something and it's intense, just watch out because I'll do it.
I know. I never ask you to make
Yeah.
promises that I will regret if you actually do them.
Yeah, it's just like if I say I promise you I'll do the following, like I actually won't stop. I can't.
I know. It's a blessing and a curse.
I promise I'll give away the shirts. So thank you, Radio Shack, who when they stopped by they gave us these shirts. These are the black ones, and I kind of like these. Lady Ada got a small one. I got a small one. And I actually wear it because like Radio Shack is neat as far as a brand that I'm familiar with, and I can only kind of wear black shirts. So this was helpful for me.
Yeah. This is helpful for you.
Well, it's just funny because
Like mentally or physically or what?
yeah, because like it's just fun. Like it's just funny. It's like I wanted a Radio Shack shirt, but they're all like they were white or red, and that was it forever
That
for
is
the last
true.
like 30 years.
Do you want to show the
And-
back of the shirt?
Yeah, this is they have these at Maker Faire.
Radio
So
Shack
I mean,
design.
like my vision of what Radio Shack brand could look like was when
This is a pretty cool brand.
well,
I agree.
yeah, like this is when I started Hackaday and I made the logo. This was
Not
like
too different.
what I want. You can tell kind of like what I'm digging right now. Like it kind of all looks the same.
Chunky.
If they would
font.
just put little skull and crossbones by
little
the arm,
skulls
that
everywhere,
kinda
that would
neat.
be
So,
sweet.
anyways, so that's the
Okay, so let me just arrange these with the right
yeah.
names.
So those are we'll put these on my desk and.
Yeah, this is the right. No, this is
So,
right. This is
anyways, email support. I'm going to tell the team that there's a little bit of extra stuff, but I'll deal with it on Thursday. So don't expect your things to go out until Thursday or Friday. Okay. That's
that
it.
was epic.
Yeah, that's the show, Lady Ada. That was it.
Okay,
That was a big show. So we're running a couple minutes late because we started a couple.
it's all good.
Okay, so everyone, don't forget, it's Cronenberg, and please buy something because if you don't, we will ultimately have to
I can add a kidney
ship
module.
stuff like this. We'll just this is no, but
And if I add a link,
it supports the electronics here at Adafruit and all the people that you saw. Big thanks from everybody at Adafruit. And
Yay, the team.
Yay! And thanks everyone, our remote team members, our internal team members, everyone here. And we'll be here next week and more. And with
Exciting
that-
week next week.
Yeah, big week, more stuff. And with that, here is your moment of Zener.
Later.
Oh wait, I gotta.
Oh wait, sorry.
Yeah, there's a cat.
Oh man. you
Yeah, almost
almost-
got it. Yeah,
whoop.
now
Oh.
moment of Zener. All
Okay,
right, later.